I'm the declutter queen. I'm the declutter queen.
So I guess we'll just jump into this interview. My name is Carrie. For those of you that don't know me, I am a member of Jess's marketing team, and she asked me to come on today and interview Colleen so that we can talk about this new exciting program that she's running. For those of you that are crafters or DIYers, I think you're really going to love it. I know that I used to be somewhat of a hoarder. My ex actually made jokes about that all the time, and I would save things like cans and anything from the thrift shop. Like, it just had a specific shape, you know? So I was like really excited when I kind of landed on this page. So Colleen, will you tell us a little bit more about this program?
Yeah, so like you, I can relate to having many art supplies. I've always loved art. And when I started my own decluttering journey, I had a room full of art supplies to do everything under the sun. But, you know, the problem is when you have too much, it's hard to do anything at all because you can't find things. You don't have the space. You don't know where to begin. There's all the unfinished projects you have, just so many little factors that we all deal with who accumulate all these craft supplies. And in working with clients one-on-one, I have found in their homes too, arts and craft supplies tend to be a real issue. It's so common to hear people say, I have more X than I could use in this lifetime, you know, and trying to decide what to keep and what to do with it. And it's really a shame too when crafting or your art form becomes burdensome, because it's so important, especially right now with life being so stressful and just so heavy, to have that release and have that art form that you can sit and do to relax and escape and feel better. So that's one of the main reasons I wanted to do this workshop, to help people and just to guide them step by step through what to do, how to declutter your arts and crafts supplies, how to make it so you can actually sit down and enjoy your time and do what it is you enjoy doing.
Yeah, I totally agree with all of that. We didn't talk about the name of this program, so will you break that part down really fast and we can cut that?
Oh yes, wait. So what did we end up calling? We ended up calling it, oh my gosh, I can't remember. Simplifying supplies and someday projects. Okay. And so it's generalized to supplies because it doesn't matter whether your interest is scrapbooking or quilting or beading or whatever it is. In fact, I've actually had some questions too. What if my interest is musical instruments? Or it applies to whatever your art form is. So I wanted to be careful not to make anyone think or feel that it doesn't apply to what their craft or art form or hobby is, because we've got it all covered and you'll get something out of it no matter what it is. And unfinished projects is just something I always come across, that people have things they started and they haven't finished, and it weighs on them heavily. They don't know what to do with it. Not only the unfinished projects, but finished projects too. A lot of us create things and then we don't know what to do with it once we have it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I love that you mentioned all of the different ways that you can have unfinished projects and different supplies. If you could see the rest of my shed, I actually have 2 violins and a piano and a guitar. And then I've got crafting supplies. I've been a DIYer, and so I have a garage full of tools. I completely relate to this showing up in a lot of different areas in my life. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that everybody listening to this will also relate to that, because, you know, like Jess always says, it's all clutter, it's all connected. And that's almost become my life motto. Like, no matter what I'm doing, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's all connected. I can't even break this apart and tell you about this thing, because it just bleeds into every other piece of life, right? And so I think, you know, I think back to, I feel like I'm interviewing myself almost, but I think back to when I was a little girl. My grandma was an artist and she would sell her paintings, you know, but it wasn't consistent because they lived out on a farm. And I remember she had an entire room dedicated to her art supplies. And literally I would have to crawl under bins to go pull things out for her, you know? So this, I think it's in a lot of ways probably multi-generational too. There's just so many multi-passionate people in this world, and that's really who this is for, right?
Yes, completely. You made me think earlier too. You were talking about how you personally keep like the cans and the creative people. I so relate to creative people because we see the possibility in everything. Your dish breaks and, oh, but I could make a mosaic out of that. So you just have this endless supply, everything around you, old magazines. It's like, oh, I could make something out of that. And the next thing you know, like you said, you're crawling through trying to find things because you're creating so much. And I also just find people are often putting things off for someday, And one thing I see with people who join Jess's group is a lot of times they feel like, oh, I don't have time for that right now. I have to declutter first. I have to wait until I get there. And that's not the case. Like it's important to be doing what you love a little bit every day now. So yes.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And I think that when you do make the time for that stuff, you actually find yourself with bursts of energy that otherwise wouldn't have come, and so that's a beautiful thing when you fill your time up with stuff that makes you happy and that makes you feel joy. And I think that this is really going to enable people to do that because they're going to have that space. And I found personally, I hit a point where I was organizing my craft supplies and collecting things to organize my craft supplies, like baby food jars or containers that I thought maybe my pencils would fit into. And that turned into a whole nother like hobby. You know what I mean?
I know.
And I feel like people in this group would probably relate to that.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, cool.
Going to Michael's itself is a hobby.
Yes.
Joanne's, whatever your place is, absolutely.
No, I totally agree. I'm reformed at this point, but I walk into like Hobby Lobby and I just take a deep breath and it's like, oh, you can't buy anything, but you can walk around.
No, it's completely my candy store. Going in and just looking around. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely. I totally agree. So I feel like we've really established who this event is for. I do think that we should talk about what level this is showing up. Do you think that people that are noticing this just a little bit are still a good fit for this program? Or do you think it's those people that are just drowning in unfinished projects and craft supplies,
Oh, it'll work no matter what your situation is. We're including some actual declutter time every day with a Q&A call so people can get decluttered and organized. And it doesn't matter if you just have a bit you need to get organized or if you are drowning. This is going to take place over 6 days. So if you imagine putting 6 hours or more, but you'll be putting in 6 hours if you join us for the calls, that's a lot of time to get yourself all set up and organized. And
I love that. Well, and the Q&A calls, I love that you guys do those live. I do think that there's a lot of value too if you're looking at a project, even if you can't show up live to the Q&A call, if you're looking at it and you're like, I don't know if I'm ever going to get around to this, kind of having that second opinion and being able to utilize people like you. You're the one leading the calls in this one, right?
Yes, I'm the one leading the calls, and I also created a workbook to go along with each day to really break it down step by step. And there's also a audio visual lesson too, a video lesson that goes along with it. So whatever your learning style is, we've got you covered. But breaking it down also is so important because I know everyone in our group, especially when they're starting out, just feels overwhelmed. It doesn't know where to begin. So,
well, and just having that support from you and being able to come and ask questions and get that second opinion is such a powerful thing. Do you find that really helps people, get over obstacles they wouldn't have been able to overcome on their own?
Yes, 100%. Every time I've done an active decluttering call, people have made so much progress. It's having somebody there to guide you, but also having not being alone while you're doing it. Sometimes even just that is a big part of it, because people don't want to wake up and just declutter by themselves. They want the guidance and some friends there, and to have some fun while doing it. It really changes the whole tone of it and changes it from this task that feels kind of miserable to fun, and that you've got some help there.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those that wouldn't be able to show up to the Q&A live, what would the benefit of them joining this program be?
If you can't make the live sessions, which they do, by the way, go over a weekend. So hopefully people who are working, if that time doesn't work, they will be able to at least make the weekend sessions. But either way, they would get the workbook pages, the recorded lessons, and the Q&A sessions are also recorded. So you can listen to them as you're decluttering in your own time. And the reality is, most of the questions people have, we have common questions. We feel like we might have our own situation going on, but there's so many commonalities, and it doesn't matter whether you're going through paints or guitars, you're dealing with a lot of common things. So even by listening to the replays, you would get a lot out of it.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely agree. So how long do they have access to this program? Is it just for that week, or is it lifetime access?
They are lifetime access. The materials will be emailed to you in the morning, and the recordings also will stay and be uploaded to everyone's membership site so that they can see those materials anytime they want to down the road. If you want to do a second pass through your craft supplies, you'll be able to revisit it and do it again.
Awesome. That's amazing. Okay. So I had a question and I just lost it. I don't remember what I was going to say, but I think that this is such a beautiful thing and really important, because having that space to do something that fills you with joy is a huge step in empowering yourself to live a life that you really love, right?
I agree. There's just so many positive effects to having that time that you can do what it is you love. And if anyone is suffering right now with stress and depression and anxiety and all these things that so many of us are feeling, getting some time in your life right now so that you can easily sit down and enjoy your art form that you love is going to make so much of a difference. And it'll spill over into your other areas of decluttering too, because you're going to have more energy and feel more motivated and positive about going into the areas of decluttering that you might not like as much as your craft supplies.
Yes. Yes, I love that. Well, Colleen, thank you so much for spending time with me and doing this interview. I think that we've really made it clear who this is for, why they would want to show up, and the kind of, the impact that it will make in their life. So I hope that all of you listening have found value in this and that you jump on this, because obviously having time and space to do the things you love is going to really impact your life in a positive way. So yes. I don't know what you should spend your time on more than trying to get to that place where you can just take a deep breath and do what you love,
Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks for chatting with me.
No problem.